Hey everyone, welcome to Soul and Story. We've been gone for 2 weeks and we're sorry about that, but we had some things happen and it was unavoidable. So, welcome back. My name is Cindy Smith and I am a new author. I've just finished the first draft of my first novel and I'm in the process of proofreading it and editing it. And I'm excited. I will be excited when I can publish it and get my debut novel out there. I love all things clean, romance, historical, or contemporary. And Jane Austen is definitely a favorite of mine. And I love to watch all of the different adaptations of her novels, all the movies that are made. And if you guys are looking for a fun adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, I would suggest Bride and Prejudice. But anyway, we're so glad you're here this morning.
Yes, and I am Sara R. Turnquist, clean/Christian historical romance author and speaker. And I haven't told you, Cindy, but one of my favorite authors is making an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, an Appalachian Pride and Prejudice. The author's name, and I probably am not going to get this last name right, is Joanne Bischoff. And it's set in the early 1900s. And I am just super excited about it. It's on my list.
Oh,
But
that will be so much fun. Definitely want to see
yeah,
that.
she has such a great voice, author voice, and I love how she just really pulls you into the character's experience. But anyways,
Yeah.
back to our topic today. We are chatting about faith-fueled social media. There are a lot of thoughts surrounding social media, and we're going to address some of ours.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited that we are doing this talk today because social media can be something that can encourage and inspire, and then it can also have some more negative effects. It can just be a time waster. It can be a time to fill our minds with things that are just not good and healthy. So I'm just really excited about that. And it's interesting. I just spent some time with some family, and it was amazing how many times I found us in our conversations saying, "Oh, I saw this on social media." I mean, I was just as guilty as the rest. I just saw this post or I saw this video. So, one of the things that I do find encouraging about social media is when I have friends who will post a Bible verse, or I will see someone post something and I'm able to pray for them, because I have friends that I met when I lived overseas and they post something and I haven't seen them since I left China in '07, but I can still pray for them. So I just love that ability with social media. So, Sara, what have you seen in social media and it being faith fueled?
I have seen similar things. I do enjoy when people post scripture graphics and things like that. And I also enjoy the intention of social media, I think, is to help you connect with people that you don't see in your everyday life, be that people that you went to high school with or that live where you used to live. Um, and you can keep up through pictures of their family and their adventures. And so I really do think the heart behind social media is excellent and is good. I do think that it's moved a little bit beyond that. I think it's important to notice what we consume and put into our minds and lives. Remember, as they say, if you're not paying anything for the product or the service, then your eyeballs are the product. So I would encourage everyone to not sell your time and attention cheaply. Your time is one commodity that we can't get back. And the Bible does tell us that what we listen to, what we take in, goes into our hearts and then out of our mouths.
Yeah.
So it's important to be careful and guard your heart and your mind.
Yeah, I like it when you say that when we get stuck into or sucked into time or social media, that we're selling our time cheaply. And it's
Mhm.
amazing how true that is. I love that. I love that I'm going to use that thought as I am scrolling.
Mm.
Today, we just got back from a family trip and I'm tired. And so it's going to be very tempting for me to just sit there and scroll. But there are other things, maybe not labor intensive things, but there are other things that I can be doing that aren't going to be robbing me of my time. And I love
Mm.
guarding your heart above all else. In fact, that's from Proverbs 4:23, and it says, "Guard your heart above all else, for it is the source of life." And I think that that is true. I think when we just let anything in, it does affect our hearts and our minds, and it can either have us praying for someone, or it can have us comparing ourselves to someone. And God doesn't want that for us. He doesn't want me to compare my life to someone else's because I'm walking the path and the life that He has for me. So I find myself, you know, finding myself lacking a lot of the time when I'm on social media, and that's just so not healthy.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you mentioned before about it being a place that can offer encouragement and can uplift fellow believers, friends, family. Unfortunately, again, thanks to algorithms and ads, we're having to look at a lot to consume what we actually came to the social media to consume, if we even can. I hate that social media is trying to feed us the narrative of the world culture, which doesn't surprise me, but it just makes me a little sad. And the
Mhm.
more we let it in, the more we will potentially be swayed by it,
Yep.
no matter how firm our faith or how strongly we cling to our beliefs. I mean, does anything redeeming happen on social media these days? Really?
No, no, and you're right. Social media wants us to be consumers. And as just a funny little story, and I know I've shared this with you before, but I went on Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram, and I started unfollowing, these different health gurus, and this is how you need to diet, and this is what you need to do. And so, because I did that, I started getting ads for plus size clothing and diet pills. So the algorithm was like, "Oh, she's just given up. She's not concerned with her health anymore." But it's um, it is a way to it will try to make us dissatisfied with the life that we have. And
Mhm.
you know, um, I also find that my struggles with anxiety and depression are intensified when I scroll, because I'm either seeing something political, that this is the end of democracy, or I'm seeing, the stuff about what's happening over in the Middle East and how people are worried, is World War III about to start?
Mhm.
Or like I mentioned earlier, when I compare myself to other people, my anxiety,
Mhm.
my depression get really, really bad. And it's just important that I need to stop that vicious cycle. And I had this question when I was typing up my notes yesterday. I'm like, Sarah, have you ever tried to tame the social media beast?
I would actually argue that it's an untamable because we don't have any control over it other than whether or not we put our eyeballs on it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea to be informed about what's going on in the world, but whether it's social media or the news or wherever you're getting your information, it's so hard to get just the facts without any emotional drive to the narrative, which there are emotions involved in the things that are happening in the world because they affect us. But I would love it if more news outlets, whether that's social media again or the television news or whatever, I wish that we could get more just the facts and let us decide where we go with that information. But going back to social media, I think that it can lead to inauthenticity, if that's even a word, from posters who set up their shots. We've all heard these stories about, the mom that takes the little child to the pool and then sets up this perfect shot, like they're playing together on the towel, and then packs everything up and leaves without
Mhm.
actually engaging with the child. And So I think that between that and people who so carefully word their posts to put up this front, it it's just hard. And that comparison monster in us can come out as we consume those types of posts that aren't even real.
Right.
Um, so I have decided to start spending less and less time on social media for a variety of reasons.
Hmm.
I still do find myself scrolling from time to time, but even that is getting less and less
Hmm.
because the bulk of what I see is not the stuff that I'm going to social media to see. I want to engage with readers, friends, and my family. And I even enjoy reading opinions that are opposite of mine, whether that's politically or cultural or whatever it is, because it gives me a framework to consider other perspectives.
Absolutely.
Even if that perspective is not going to change my mind, it may, but it also allows me to really see where the opposite opinion of mine is coming from. You can
Hmm.
see my puppy behind me. There's Duffy.
Hi,
Hi,
Duffy.
Duffy.
I know he can't hear me, but hi, Duffy. He's
Yeah,
so
he's so
cute.
sweet. And over here, you can barely see if we can change the screen. You can see my older dog, Blue. We used to have a Blue cam, but it doesn't work with this setup. But there's Blue. He's sleeping. That's all
Yeah.
he's doing. There's no point in the Blue cam because that's what's
Yeah.
happening. He's sleeping.
You can't
And
see
if
him.
you,
Can you see my
yeah,
puppies?
if you
Do you see?
widen the screen, you might be able to see him. Oh, there, I see his feet.
Yes, he was in the Pet Palace. He was at the Pet Palace for a week. And so he is very, very happy to be home and
Mm,
now he can finally rest. And he's at
yeah.
the door because my daughter, who's his person, has gone to work. So he's very sad about that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I like
Yeah.
what you said, Sarah, about, helping us see other people's perspectives because I think that that's important where, like you said, where we may not agree with someone about a political thing, we can still say, okay, I see your point. I can
Mm,
have compassion. I can have understanding because I think too often we set ourselves up as like, I'm right, you're wrong,
mhm.
therefore we can't be friends. But you know what? I can disagree with you about things and still love you. You can
Yes.
disagree with things that I believe and still love me. And
Mhm.
I think that that's just really important. Um, I like how you're setting up boundaries for being online. I think that that's important. Boundaries aren't a bad thing. I was looking up I was looking at the verse about freedom, a verse about freedom, and it talked about in the definition about freedom. Let me look this up because it was very, really, really, very, very good. And it said that where is it? Freedom um, is having true liberty to be living as we should, not as we please. And I think that
Mm,
that is very, that goes along with what we're talking about here. You know, I'm,
mhm.
I, I, I can have time on the internet. I can have time on Facebook. I can have time on Instagram. But is this helping me live as I should?
Mm,
And sometimes it's okay to just zone out and watch funny videos of animals or,
mhm.
people doing skits and be entertained. That's okay. But then,
Yeah, I think it was Paul. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, no.
I think it's Paul that says everything is permissible for me, but not everything is beneficial. And taking a moment to relax and enjoy someone else's content is if it edifies you and you enjoy it, I think that it's perfectly fine. Well, in my opinion, but I only
Yeah,
make decisions for me, right?
exactly.
I
But I
think I,
agree. I agree
I
with
think
you,
you
friend.
have to decide what is beneficial for you as a believer. Just because something doesn't um, speak gospel to us doesn't mean it's not beneficial.
Mhm.
But just as long as we align ourselves with truth
Yeah,
and what God has put in front of us.
absolutely.
And
I,
sometimes that's a post on social media. I will
yeah.
say, sometimes it is.
And I like to post things on social media too. I'm not saying I don't. I mean, I do try to keep it light. I might post about losing a family member or something, but like I don't
Mhm.
try to make political posts. I don't try to make commentary on what's going on in the world. I most likely will post pictures of dogs or Disney posts, going to Disney,
Mhm.
and speaking of that, when we were at a couple weeks ago, when we were in Central Florida and we were at a theme park, um, I was amazed at like the groups of people that were walking around together, but they weren't interacting. They were all behind their screens, videotaping everything.
Mm.
And to me, that's tiring to try to curate this persona online.
Yeah.
Um, and I love how you do the things that you do online, especially on your author page and those who join your Turnquist troop. You're trying to engage your readers. You're not just trying to put stuff out there for the sake of having stuff out there. You
Mhm.
also want to engage so that you can build relationships with your readers. And then also with other writers, you try to encourage other writers through what you put on Facebook and Instagram. So I think that that is a good use of social media.
Mhm. Thank you. I really do. Well, I've kind of stepped back from social media a little bit. I really do miss doing my Monday mugs. What coffee mug are you using this Monday? Because I love my coffee mug collection, and so every Monday I used to post, "This is my mug," and I love the Starbucks City mugs, and so they're always from a different place. And where's your mug from? Where are you today drinking your coffee from your mug? And what does your mug spark in you? What does it remind you of? The person that gave it to you or the place you were when you got it, and all of those different things. I miss that interaction from my posts. However, the algorithm meant to help the viewer actually can hurt the poster. Um, Studies have said that at most about 15% of your friends are seeing what you post.
Mm,
And that's kind of sad to me, especially if you, the poster, are working hard to create good content. If it is just a social outlet for you, I would certainly keep that in mind and make decisions accordingly. But you have to be aware of the struggles against the algorithm.
yeah. Sarah, I never realized that only about 15% of people share your post. And that's as a content creator, and you're not a content creator from the standpoint of that's all that you do, but wanting to engage your author or your audience and also advertise your books
Mhm.
that you're writing, that can be very dis
Discouraging.
discouraging.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm very tired this morning. I apologize if
Okay.
I'm not 100%, but um, I just think that that can be discouraging. And so we have to find other ways to engage.
Mm.
I also feel like, too, there becomes these like social media trends where everybody's copying everybody else. So it's
Mm.
hard to not fall into that probably as, oh, this worked for so and so. Well, I'll do it. And then someone else will do it. And it kind of, you get burned out. You're like, if I see another post with that dance in it, I'm going to go crazy.
You are
But
not wrong. You are not
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, so I just think it's interesting that we do have to find, because I'm starting my journey as an author, so I have to find how am I going to engage the readers that I want to attract to my books.
Mhm.
So that it can be um, overwhelming, but it's not something we can't achieve. It's not unachievable, unattainable.
Yeah. Yeah, and here on A Soul and Story, we are talking to readers. We're all basically readers. Well, not everybody is. Some people don't read books, and I don't understand these people, and I don't trust
Yeah.
them. Anyways, but I'm also wanting to speak to my fellow writers out there, and writers are told over and over and over again that social media numbers are so important to prove your platform to publishers for a lot of reasons, but basically for marketing purposes and for proving that you have an audience that wants to hear what you have to say. But I really tire of all that. I have started following a podcast called Writing Off Social, and it's Sandy Cooper, a lady named Sandy Cooper, and Mary Kay Tiller. They present some excellent thoughts about social media and the challenges that you face with social media as an author, some of which we've mentioned. And they also offer alternatives for the writing community relying on socials for marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so excited when we went to that marketing conference back in January and we heard there they are. There's Sandy
Yeah.
and Kay. And I was so excited and like wow, I don't have to be on social media to get the word out about my books. And when I came home and was telling my husband about it, he went and deleted his LinkedIn account. He's like, okay, good. I don't have to be on social media. So that was just really exciting. I agree.
Yeah, Sandy and Mary Kay. And again, here are their pictures, and we put their website as a banner comment. There it is again. Sandy and Mary Kay's words and topics have certainly been refreshing and perspective shifting for me. And I am taking it to heart. This last month, I have rarely been on social media as far as posting. Maybe I'm scrolling a little bit more than I want to, but I'm enjoying that bit of consuming that I'm doing. I have opted to connect with my readers through my newsletters that go out, one to Turnquist Troop, and one goes out to my general newsletter, and just engaging with my readers that way. And I am choosing to connect with friends and family through texting and having conversations that way, or over the phone, or in person. Let's meet up for coffee, that kind of thing. The idea behind social media, as we mentioned, is not bad. It's a great idea to stay connected with people in that way, but the practice of it has become something else, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A couple weeks ago, I was having just a really, I was down. I was feeling very
Mm.
down. And you asked me how much social media was I consuming? And I told you, and you're like, well, I would encourage you to not. And so for a month, I took Facebook and well, I haven't put Instagram back on my stuff, but I took Facebook off and Instagram off of my iPhone and my iPad, and it made a huge difference in my mood. And so
Mhm.
I, first of all, thank you for that. Um, I also think that what we do here on Soul and Story is a great way to connect with people.
Mm.
It's easier to understand when you can hear people's voices, or if you're watching us, you can see our facial expressions. So you, you know what we're saying and how we're saying it, and there's no room for misunderstanding.
Mm.
Um, and it's interesting that at one time, people did not have access to the authors of their favorite books like we do now. It's something that
Mhm.
has changed in the industry. And I think that more people want to say, oh, I want to know more about the person that wrote this book, not just about the book. Like for the longest time, we cared more about Stephen King's books than we did about him, unless
Mhm.
he were in an accident, like the time he got hit by a car. We learned a
Mhm.
little bit about him, but people want to know the person behind the book, what is true about this person. And I think that this platform is an amazing way for us to do that.
Absolutely. I do want to go ahead and encourage my writer friends and reader friends out there to listen to Sandy Mary Kay's podcast. And if you want to hear more from them, we're going to see them at the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference in October in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Cindy and I are both going to that conference, and we are so very excited. We're actually both on the planning committee. So I'm going to do a little shameless plug here that I've already started doing for Kentucky Christian Writers Conference. But Sandy and Mary Kay, Writing Off Social, are doing a 3-hour pre-conference masterclass on this very thing. Yep. And my husband is controlling what you're seeing on the screen with us. So he's showing you there a little bit more about the pre-conference. and it's more like a master class, I would
Yeah,
say.
I would agree.
But we will, in the description, we will link you to their website, Writing Off Social, and their podcast, as well as to Kentucky Christian Writers Conference website, where you can learn more. I actually interviewed these lovely ladies for a YouTube video on the KCW, or the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference YouTube channel, and you'll find that link in the description below as well.
Yes.
And if you think you might be interested in the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference, the early bird rate, that special discounted rate, ends today. So at some point today, later this evening, I think it is, the price will go up. So nab it today while you can. Anyways, there's my
Exactly.
shameless plug.
Yay. No, that's totally, I'm excited about it too. And not only are they teaching the pre-conference session, they also have 2 workshops that they're going to be leading. So they're and we have just so many wonderful workshops. We have Sarah's husband Greg's going to be teaching about AI and how to have different things in our toolkit. We have
Everyone, and thank you for tuning in. I'm talking and my lips weren't moving.
It's okay. It was that your you were practicing ventriloquistism. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be learning about writing devotionals and how to write good antagonists, how to find your voice. Oh, there it is. There's the video.
Yeah, there I am. There's me again.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah. I haven't been able to join you for those interviews, and I'm excited to do that tomorrow. But
Yeah.
yeah, just we would love to see everyone join us in Elizabethtown. So if you think you might be interested in being a writer, please come. Because also the thing about this conference is that when I went in 2023, it was my first time there, but I also already felt like I was part of the family. People are so welcoming and so friendly and so encouraging. So, think about it. We would love to see you there.
Yeah. So many years ago, I think it's actually about 10 years ago was the first time I went to Kentucky Christian Writers Conference. It was my very first Christian Writers Conference. I went to another smaller writers conference here locally before that, but it was my second writers conference, my first Christian Writers Conference. And even though I went into the auditorium and didn't really know anybody, I have a buddy that would go to conferences with me, so I knew one person, but I think she was doing something else. So I went in the auditorium by myself and sat down, and I looked around, and instead of feeling like nervous because I didn't know anybody, I literally took a deep breath, and I was like, these are my people.
Yeah.
These are my people. And I felt that way from that moment on. And so I've continued to stay involved with Kentucky Christian Writers Conference as an attender, then on faculty, and now I'm on the planning team.
And I also find that the people that are there, like if they find out you're a new author, they want to encourage you. They want to encourage you. They want to set you up for success. So as a new author, that's one of the things that I love about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Teddy's pacing in the back there. Anyways, thank you for joining us. We appreciate. My dogs are still sleeping. See them? There they go. This one's sleeping. This one's sleeping. This one's sleeping. This one's sleeping. Anyways, little fun. Look, I did my exercise for today. Don't say I didn't do it. Anyways, we appreciate each and every one of you that lend us your ears and attention on Tuesday mornings if you're watching it live, but whenever you do get a chance to watch it, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so that you get notified for every episode that comes out. Please do check out our other videos and episodes in which we dig into the things that we find important. You probably noticed that all of our titles are the importance of. And you can grab if you want to try out my writing, you can grab a free copy of Hope in Cripple Creek at saraturnquist.com and just give it a try. See what you think if you're curious about my writing. But we will see you next time on Soul and Story. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening. This episode is over, but your writing journey continues. Visit SarahTurnquist.com to find links to help you achieve your writing dream.